The abuse started last year in March by Holly Hopkins when Andre decided that he wanted to end their relationship.
Everybody's literally sending me this and saying that I'm involved with a sexual predator. Like, this is the picture that needs to go, Andre, on this Instagram. Just take my picture down. Take my picture down. I need it down. I'm getting more and more messages. Like, I don't know how so many people are finding your shit, but I'm sick of it now. Like, I really don't want to be involved in this. So, take my picture down. Listen, all I want you to do is take my picture down. That's all I want you to do. I want my picture down. Because right now, every fucking person that I know in my whole fucking city that knows I was with you for so many fucking years thinks I was dealing with a fucking sexual predator. Thinks that me, Holly, was dealing with a sexual predator. That's what everyone's fucking thinking. And it's fucking sick. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing. So, listen, the only person I've ever been bothered about since the day that me and you broke up was Antee, and you've got women on there saying that apparently you sexually assaulted them and then you introduced them to Antee. That's the type of shit that people are saying online about you. It's fucking disgusting. Like, there's bare shit, man. Bare shit. And the only person I'm bothered about is Antee. Like, and if you end up going to, I don't know what's going to happen to you, but what if you end up going to jail, then what? My dad is going actually fucking crazy, wanting to contact you and all sorts, because someone at work has basically shown him the video. I've not even told my dad about this fucking video because I don't want my dad to know. And my picture's still there. I'm getting calls from everybody. Like, everybody. Like, obviously everybody knew that we were together for fucking years and years and years. And now my dad knows, and my dad's going actually mental. Like, can you... I cannot believe... I don't... Get rid of my picture, please. I'm asking you nicely to get rid of my picture.
The abuse from Holly continued as she continued to send me message after message stating all kinds of false accusations, false information, and things that really had absolutely nothing to do with me. To this day, I have never responded to Holly Hopkins. I have only reported her to the Manchester Police Department on 3 separate occasions, in which the Manchester Police Department stated they have contacted her and then let her know to stop her stalking and harassment, yet nothing has been done to actually make her stop. From her messages, you can clearly see that she has been on social media speaking with the realtor and Bobby and trying to help them attack me because she was hurt by what happened with her and Andre, which again had absolutely nothing to do with me. All the photos being used by Snootygal were provided to her by Holly Hopkins. Holly Hopkins also told Snootygal where Andre worked, and that's how she found her way to the Blue Hole. When Holly Hopkins' abuse wasn't working the year prior when she was partnering with Linda Naw, they decided to find somebody with a larger following and a black woman, since that is who follows Lindsey and supports her work. Holly admits to harassing and stalking both Andre and Lindsey for a year before they found Snootygal, paid for a trip to Jamaica, and she began her lies and stories and abuse against Andre. After making up the lies and partnering with Snootygal, Holly Hopkins and her friend began calling Andre and harassing him, asking him what had really happened. Manchester Police Department was informed, in which they blew it off and said they were making welfare checks on Andre, yet Andre was not answering any of her calls. Manchester Police Department was informed of the defamation against Lindsey, her foundation, and Andre, yet they took absolutely no action against Holly Hopkins and today have still allowed her to partner with Snootygal and abuse Andre and his son. There were multiple complaints to Manchester Police Department in which they said there was an investigation. Had they done an investigation, they would have clearly seen the stalking, harassment, and abuse by Holly Hopkins and multiple friends that have also contacted Andre, and he has not responded to any of them. Yet Manchester Police continues to blow this situation off and allow the abuse. Just like Linda Naw, Holly Hopkins tried to contact people who support the foundation and the childhood cancer children to attack me, slander me, and try to get them to no longer support the foundation. 2017, after the death of Aiden, his GoFundMe money was stolen and Lindsey became a victim of loan fraud. Forgery acted as the escrow agent, forging Lindsey's name to a deed of sale because she did not attend the closing. The state of Nevada tried to conceal this crime for 5 years as they attacked Lindsey, stole her home, attacked Aiden's army of angels, and allowed anybody to slander her.
Okay. I told you to leave. Okay. If you didn't want your marriage, leave.
How did you buy this house?
If you don't want to be with me, leave.
How?
Because you wasn't on the loan. What do you mean?
I didn't have to be on the loan to be on the deed. So why am I not on this house? Why?
All text messages and emails were provided to the Las Vegas Police Department, the courts, and the lawyers who represented Lindsey and committed legal malpractice. Yet none of this information was included in the trial, and it clearly proved the loan fraud, the misrepresentation by Realtor Linda Naw, and the fraud that occurred when Bobby accepted conveyance of the title into his name alone, paying off his entire life. Nevada Secretary of State clearly got the complaint that Nikki Secaucus Bott acted as the notary and the escrow agent. She did not turn in her journal, yet the Nevada Secretary of State took no action in reprimanding her and allowed the abuse to continue. The Secretary of State violated her for not turning in the journal but failed to report her to the police department or the history of her crimes. After paying attorneys for 2 years and already going to trial, I then on my own went and got a handwriting expert that again proved my name was forged and that the notary fraud was valid. Yet Nevada Secretary of State still took no action, and 26 Nevada judges attempted to conceal this information. Kurt Baggett is a court-certified, board-certified forensic handwriting expert who has testified in 200 cases, yet they would not accept my expert. When Bobby and the realtors' attacks were not getting anywhere, they decided to find a black woman, since that is who supports Lindsey and her work, and have her go to Jamaica and tell a lie about Andre, and then come back and say that Lindsey supports people who touch children. Snootygal is not a child. She is not a victim, and nobody ever touched her. She is an opportunist that wanted attention and didn't mind hurting her own community. Snootygal's accusations went from Andre to Lindsey to Antee to calling the embassy to try to ruin a little boy's chance of a better life. Yet she has provided no evidence of anything she says.
And I know y'all like part 6. Yes, bitch, part 6, because the tea is fucking brewing. What the fuck? I just want to say these bitches done lost their mind. That's why we had to come back for a part 6 trial. So those who don't know, you got to watch part 5 to be caught up on all the bullshit that Lindsey does. And I said I wasn't going to mention Lindsey no more unless Lindsey did some more sneaky shit. And she did. So the person working with me inside basically told me that Andre and Lindsey over the past week just got married in Jamaica, low-key. Notice Lindsey hasn't acknowledged none of this on Instagram. She's deleted her comments. And so many of you guys have been like, how can we be persistent with this issue? So in this video, I've listed a couple different people and numbers you guys can call, whether it's the police department, their tourist board, or to slow up them getting U.S. visas. Lindsey has now created Antee, which is Andre's son, an Instagram page to begin his journey on coming to America. The numbers I listed here, I'm going to need y'all to call and reach out and demand that this process be slowed up, halted, or stopped until an investigation is taken into Andre, Sean, and Lindsey. I've spoke to the tourist board, which I have an investigation pending. I've reported them with the U.S. Embassy, which that is pending. The police department in Jamaica is pathetic. I included their number, but fuck Ocho Rios police department. The police department ain't gonna bring nobody no justice. There was women raped and killed, and these bitches ain't did shit. But the call of action right now is to stop all citizenship for Andre, his son, and anybody else involved. Because I now realize Lindsey does not give a fuck about none of these victims in this comment section reporting her man as a pervert. So it's now our job as U.S. citizens to protect ourselves, our country, and our women. Now we must do the right thing to stop Lindsey's delusional ass from adopting a child from a pedophile. If you can, tag as many blogs, send this to as many blogs, call the embassy. You can leave reviews about them on TripAdvisor, and just do everything you can to bring awareness to this.
Holly Hopkins quickly found Snootygal attacking Lindsey and then joined in the festivities. Not one of them cared that Lindsey was a grieving mother who has gone through 5 years of abuse and attacks by the Nevada court system, yet continues to give back to children and love others in all of her actions. Snootygal is falsely accusing Andre of several criminal crimes and Lindsey for paying them off. Yet Andre has no criminal record, but Snootygal has an extensive one, where she makes reckless choices over and over again. Yet this was just another reckless choice made by Snootygal to get involved in a case that she knew nothing about. She did no research before she started speaking and is now guilty of those crimes. Any person that knowingly conceals a crime is then guilty of that same crime. So Holly Hopkins and Snootygal helping the brokers by attacking me, trying to conceal the crimes committed against me, and accusing me, Andre, of crimes that never happened, which is malicious prosecution, makes them also guilty of the same crimes of mortgage fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. After my judges are switched and being forced to wait 2.5 years for my trial, Raina Hughes simply fabricated her ruling to try to protect the real estate agent and the notary. And Bobby Antee had already contradicted everything they had said when I found out about the fraud and forgery in 2018. Yet Nevada Supreme Court took absolutely no action to correct her ruling at all.
Switching judges after reporting fraud.
To Kathy Hardcastle. That was the judge my case was assigned to. Once I reported the fraud, she refused my right to be heard and then allowed my case to be transferred to Judge Raina Hughes, who has a history of hurting people and abusing her power on the bench. Raina Hughes has threatened to jail a child. She has lost her seat, and she was removed from the bench. Yet Nevada Supreme Court continues to offer her multiple reprieves to put her back on the bench to allow her to manipulate cases and hurt the community. In the 4 years Raina Hughes was on the bench, she received multiple complaints. Even prior to receiving my case, she was currently under judicial review. Yet no one did anything to stop what she was doing to me. It is very well known that if you get Judge Raina Hughes, you can pay her to manipulate your outcome, which is exactly why my case was switched from Kathy Hardcastle to Raina Hughes to ensure that I did not get justice, that I went through the most abuse possible, and hopefully I would settle. I found of the fraud, I immediately asked for annulment. The home was only valued at $266,000, which means it was upside down. So had the house sold at that time, there was absolutely no equity in the home. After 2 years waiting for a trial and 2 years waiting for the Supreme Court, I filed lease pendants in Georgia and Nevada to try to protect my home and quiet the title. Yet none of my cases were heard, there was no hearings, no trials, and my lease pendants were illegally removed, and Bobby Antee was permitted to sell my home, remove my things, in which nothing has been returned. After informing the escrow agent that I was not releasing lease pendants because there was never a hearing or due process, she said the house would not be sold. Yet a week later, the house was still sold and all proceeds stolen. After being ordered to remain in the home and solely pay for the home alone in 2018, the house value increased up to over $400,000. When I showed the evidence that I could put the house in my own name, the house was then illegally sold and all proceeds were taken. Bobby admitted I didn't come to the closing, I didn't know I wasn't on the title, and that he did not invest anything in this house. Bobby admitted that I did not want the house, I did not go to the closing, and we were not even getting along. He had not spoken to me in 2 days, so had no authorization to attend this closing without me present, using my money and putting title in his name solely alone. From my messages to Bobby, you can clearly see that mentally and emotionally I was struggling through the loss of my son, and I had no desire to buy a house. The house was something that Bobby Antee wanted, and he had already knew that he had paid off his entire life and stolen thousands of dollars from me at this point. After marrying Bobby, I found out that he was still sleeping with his baby mama, Veronica Yepes, and I again told him I did not want to be with him, I did not want the house, and I did not want to be married. Yet he continued to be a predator and continue with the process without giving me any information about what was being paid off or what information was being given to the lender. I begged him several times to stop asking me about the house and stop harassing me. Yet he continued to do it, and they refused to send me anything that was being paid off, any documents, and I never spoke to the lender. Even when asking to speak to the lender, Linda Naw said that that was not possible and continued the process with Bobby, knowing that they were paying off his debts without my knowledge. On January 15th, 2 days before the closing, I canceled in writing to Linda Naw. I never spoke to her or Bobby Antee for the next 2 days while they continued to conspire to put the house in Bobby's name, and she promised him that she had enough lawyers and power with her broker that he would never get in trouble for what he has done. Bobby has now illegally sold my house. He's kept all the proceeds. He stole all my property out of the home, and it still hasn't been returned to me. Nikki Secaucus Spot is a serial loan fraud criminal. She has done this before, and she has hurt many people, yet she's always protected by her broker and dirty judges in Nevada. The more I learned about the crimes being committed against me, the more the attacks on my family, my work, and any relationship I had became. The attacks continued from multiple fake pages as they continued to lie about me, my work, what I was doing in Jamaica, and Dante and his father. Yet no police department has taken any action to stop this clear defamation, stalking, or harassment. She lies about criminal cases that do not exist. She lies about a situation that never happened and then tries to switch it to it was against kids to then better attack me. So Snootygal had no worry about destroying her own community and helping brokers who are attacking her community get away with what they've done to simply get attention for herself. After a while, you could clearly see that this wasn't about Andre at all. It was simply about making up a story to then attack me and then to get people who support me and the children to no longer support me. And then maybe they could get away with the fraud that was committed against me. pretty much everything about Snootygal is fake, and she's a self-absorbed blogger who simply wanted to find a way to build her following. Snooty Girl was asked for concrete evidence of her accusations. She simply just didn't have it, or a story to back up what she was actually saying. She simply wanted to get attention, followers, and a free trip to Jamaica, and didn't care who she hurt in the process. The abuse I have suffered has gone on now for 5 years with very clear evidence of all the misconduct, fraud, and abuse. The only way this is going to stop is if the public finally stands behind me and demands that the FBI do a proper investigation of the corruption in Nevada. The best way to help is to please go to the petition at www.change.org/arrest Raina Hughes, where you can get the full story of everything that has occurred and sign the petition and put an end to this nightmare and the abuse of power that I've suffered now for 5 years. Please keep me in your prayers as I continue to seek justice, because it's been made very clear to me that as an African American woman in the United States, I have no rights. And the fact that I keep asking for my rights to be upheld can get me killed.